are Jalen and Jacoby. What exactly is it that we do?
We get it, people! What they want.
Very entertaining evening of playoff basketball last night. We start where it ended, and that was with the Pelicans and the Suns. And that man right there, Brandon Ingram, having a career evening, putting up playoff high and getting a win for the 8 seed Pelicans.
I feel like sitting back like Scarface in the hot tub with a Cuban in my mouth and saying, look at the Pelicans fly. Look at the Pelicans fly. I tried to tell y'all, if there was a stock to invest in the NBA, the one that was gonna boom from potential play-in to taking the league by storm, a version of this year's Memphis, I told y'all, next year that's gonna be this team. And the reason why, number one, it ain't Zion, because he ain't playing. It ain't CJ, because he's the second best player. It's that guy, B.I., Brandon Ingram. And I'm happy for Willie Green. Shout Detroit Willie getting his first playoff win. And the thing is about it, there's so many different layers to it. It's how they're navigating Brandon Ingram to get his buckets. I've been telling you this the whole time. It ain't just him catching the ball at the top, taking 13,000 dribbles. He is, every move and every dribble is decisive. And if you make a mistake, pass off. If you make a mistake, lay up. Make a mistake, shot. And then the other thing, you bring in a veteran shot maker that's gonna be a leader in the locker room. And I've been saying for years, you and I know this, didn't you and I cover the draft when CJ McCollum came out?
Yep, I remember.
What do we say? What do we say? What
It
do
was
we
called
say?
the
Not
job
only is he
interview.
gonna take my job.
We went to the combine and we
Tell
talked to
him,
these
Jacoby.
young men before they got drafted, and CJ McCollum came over the room and had a mature presence to him, had a personality, seemed like a businessman, not a basketball player. And you said that young man could be successful on or off the court, and now we're looking at him be successful on the court last night in the playoffs. But Mr. Rose.
And the beautiful thing is, I was calling him a 25-point scorer, and sometimes he wasn't even averaging 25, and people was challenging me on that. I'm like, that's what my eyes see. I don't know what the numbers see. Now all of a sudden he in the playoffs, bang. I'm happy for CJ.
Well, the story of this game was the Pelicans upset, but that upset was helped by an unfortunate incident. It was Devin Booker. One of the many times the Pelicans pushed the ball up the floor to get layups, Devin Booker was trailing the play, contested the shot, and you could see on his face that he was injured. We don't know exactly how long he will be out. However, Mr. Rose, it is not good. Here's the play. Tell me what you see.
It's definitely not good because he was hustling, trying to contest on in transition, and you land awkwardly. You can't pick and choose the way you land. You land on one foot, you land on your heel, you land on the ball of your toe, and then all of a sudden, you feel your hamstring, and he was having an amazing game. And by the way, I have to just say this. Everything I just said about Brandon Ingram applies to Devin Booker, except Devin Booker has already been there, done that. He's already helped lead his team to the NBA Finals. I like watching these young vets, Jacoby. Like Booker is probably in, his 7th year and maybe 26 years of age. And the way he plays within himself and the way Chris Paul has now infused a level of efficiency into their entire roster, and Monty Williams continues to build out their team, they're now going to have to go deeper into the box score. And they're also dealing with some injuries. Both Cams are dealing with injuries for the Suns, and obviously the main one is D-Book. If D-Book isn't able to go in the next game as they return to New Orleans, they got to be feeling good about themselves.
Could get interesting. It could get interesting.
Hey, Zion, you got to do a 360 turning the other way this time. You know what I'm saying? Garrett Temple, you got to get some more suits for the crew. It's go time. Congratulations to the Pelicans getting their playoff win. It's going to be a long series.
Jalen, sometimes there's some occurrences that need to be broken down in detail. We had one last night. It is time to go to the table. Devin Booker was on fire in the first half, had 31 points in the half before unfortunately getting injured. However, after one of his many amazing shots, something more amazing happened. Mr. Rose, tell me what you see here.
I love the fact Devin Booker has the skill to navigate in the corner and the understanding of the situation as he falls down, but also the soft touch to the young fella.
Now, Jalen, I gotta go negative Jacoby here. I gotta go negative Jacoby here. If I'm sitting next to the guy in the front row of a playoff game that brings the baby, I'm upset about it. I can't lie. I got my own kids at home. I spent like $10,000 on these seats. I don't want to have a newborn baby next to me. I really don't. It's like a plane. It's even worse than the plane. I don't need the newborn baby next to me, man. That would bother me. I can't lie.
Nah, this is ultimate negative Jacoby. This is like you getting mad at people for walking around with bottles of water. By the way, just so you know, it's a boss move to bring your baby to the game or to sit your baby on a plane, especially in first class, because it's free.
Free. I know, that's the first thing I thought. That baby's getting a $10,000 experience for free. Like, then you got charged for the baby or something.
And D-Book fall on the ground. What do you think the dad say? Hey, D-Book, great job. Can you give my son some dap? You know what I'm saying? So now, boom. Free ticket, free dap, $1 million worth of publicity. Good job, Dad. Way to represent. Sitting on the wood, make it all good.
Well, Jalen, it wasn't just Devin Booker getting buckets last night. Fortunately got injured. We'll give you an update on that when we have one. But Ja Morant had himself a game last night as they hosted the Timberwolves. And Jalen, you always talk about quiet baskets and loud baskets. This is the loudest 23 points I've ever seen in my entire life.
Absolutely, because he continues to attack. And what Taylor Jenkins did a masterful job of, he got back to playing lineups that were successful without Ja. What ends up happening when you have a superstar like Ja and the playoffs start, it's like, here go Ja, we're going to let him play his minutes, we're going to let him do his thing. But this was unique this season because they had a superstar emerge, but they also had a great team out on the floor. So Ja start the game, you want the ball in his hands. You want him going downhill. He led the league in points in the paint. You want him to attack the basket. But then all of a sudden you take him out. Second lineup, Jaren Jackson Jr. playing small ball 5, catching two-hand lobs and blocking shots and making plays. And so that allows the rest of the roster that was able to grow, like Desmond Bane this season without Ja, get those normal minutes and opportunities that they were getting that they weren't necessarily able to get in game 1. But here's the elephant in the room. They just play harder. They play with more urgency. They play with more desperation is what they did, because they know what you and I know. You go down 0-2 at home and you're a number 2 seed, it ain't looking good. And so I appreciate how they responded, but it was the toughness and the effort, in particular defending Karl Anthony Towns and Anthony Edwards. And for the Grizzlies, they're going to need D'Lo to show up. Like, they're doing a terrific job of defending him. They're going to need him to have a game. For the Timberwolves, they're going to need D'Lo to show up because Memphis has done a terrific job of keeping him quiet.
Well, Jalen, one side plot to this series that you and I both love is the Battle of the Star Dads. And our guy Chris Haynes was in between these two personalities, and here is the magic that happened.
Are you a little nervous right now? Because Memphis right now...
About what? The last time they had a lead, I seen people leaving 5 minutes early. I don't know. The game wasn't even over yet.
Like them young people say, that's all cap. That's all cap. He lying.
Uh-oh. We scoring now.
Hey, we ain't had no lead. Hey, look at this. We ain't ducking no smoke.
Jalen, I know you love this.
I love this so much, and I love how the team is saying, the players are saying, and Dad is saying we ain't ducking no smoke, but the towel says we ain't running from no smoke. But either way, shout to both of them. And that was a Black History moment, Jacoby. I truly believe that. The first time during a live NBA game, male announcer doing sideline, two black dads celebrating their sons that are both participating in the game. That was black excellence. I appreciate that. Thank you, gentlemen, very much, Papa Towns and Papa Morant.
Jalen, there was another amazing performance last night. This time it came from the Eastern Conference #1 seed. There's Trae Young in the Hawks, and he had to go against this man, Jimmy Butler. He had 45 points with the key closing buckets down the stretch as well. Butler looked like Bubba Butler last night.
You know what? I feel like that graphic with Trae Young by itself, the other side should have been only Jimmy Butler.
We gotta get those fixed.
Only right.
I gotta Venmo somebody to get those fixed. What do we gotta do?
So
Why are we doing this to
Jimmy
my man,
Butler, the
Trae?
thing,
How Duncan Robinson's on there, but John Collins can't get on
The
there.
Heat are gonna win.
Yeah, exactly. That's how Trae feels too in this series.
I think the
that's
Heat
what
gonna
every
win.
time he got the ball, that's what he sees. Bam, Jimmy, and Duncan Robinson.
But I like how Jimmy let it be known. Assistant coach, Tuck, everybody acknowledged to him, we need you to score. It's the second season, and in this matchup, you got to be a game changer and a difference maker. And if the Miami Heat are focused, this could be a sweep. This could be a sweep if they're focused. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in the next game. The Hawks and the Bulls, off the top of my head, obviously got to show some sense of urgency game 3, because both of them on the precipice of me going to grab my Wallace. And I
hate to say this to Toronto fans, but I feel the same way about the Raptors. But Jalen, one of the things that they have been doing to Trae Young in this is just their defense is so sophisticated, it's so connected, it's so strategic that Trae Young hasn't been able to get going. What does he need to change to go up against this Heat defense that has been swarming him in game 1 and game 2?
Pace. If you see these possessions, they're not allowing Trae to go downhill. Everything I was saying about Brandon Ingram is just the opposite. Look, he's not allowed to go downhill. Help is right there. He's got the Tupac Shakur treatment. All eyes on him. They're not letting him. That's called playing in the crowd, playing in the phone booth, making him see 10 eyeball, whatever you want to call it. And so, like, what needs to now happen is pace. You get a stop if you're the Hawks, you rebound, you get a steal, you get out in transition.
Jalen, as the draft nears, coming to you live from the Seaport, New York City, and brought to you by Chase. Welcome back to Jalen Jacoby Jalen Rose. We are so lucky. We are honored to be joined by this man, Trayvon Walker. He is the national champion in college, and he might be the man to change your favorite NFL team's franchise in the future.
Yes.
Thank you so much for taking the time.
No problem. Thank you all for having me. Listen.
Thank you for joining the program. I've always admired not only your ability on the field, but your maturity as well. But I have to ask you, as a Georgia Bulldog who finally waxed Alabama and won the national championship, it's been a few months, but recall, what was that night like for you and your teammates?
Man, see, that night, that was just a crazy experience from just being in that predicament in the national championship, then coming out with a W on top. I just have to say it was a very special moment. It's something that the university hasn't done in, 41 years, and it was just a blessing.
6'5", 272 pounds, and you ran a 4.5 in the 40-yard dash?
Yes, sir.
How did you prepare for that? And tell me how the reaction changes as a draft prospect when you do so very well in the 40 like you did.
I just had to say preparation for me. Like I always knew that I was pretty fast, but going into it, I knew I was going to be able to run at least a low 4.6, but a high 4.5. But just once I got that final official time, it was just a big relief because I've been training so hard on my 40, my starts, get-offs, all of that. It's just it paid off, and once I did it, listen, just the transition from working out for the combine, it was very different from the normal training that I've been going through. It was really training to be a track star for a month and a half or so, if not longer. But it's definitely a grind.
At what point in your life as you started to become like physical and have your size that you realized that you were like bigger and stronger and just more athletic than your peers?
I have to say, coming from the small towns I came from, I've always been that one big kid that will go out of town, play different teams. I'm that one kid that you will ask to see my birth certificate and never fail. And it'll always catch me by surprise. And that, but I was always on field.
That's hilarious. You're going to be playing in the NFL next year. You're going to have your hand in the dirt, and you're going to have your eye on opposing quarterbacks. Don't act like you haven't thought about this. What would be like your number one that you would love to take down? Like, who's one player that you would just love to get on the ground?
Brady.
The GOAT.
Yes, sir.
You go hunting.
You get Tom Brady on the ground, you got to do the strip, sack, fumble. You got to do all of that when you get to him. I promise you, big fella. And let me tell you why. I saw some projections, and there's a chance that not only could you be the number one pick, that means you could probably be the number two pick. I'm a Detroit Lions fan. Have you talked to the Lions? Have you visited Detroit? What are they saying about the draft this year?
When I did talk to the Lions, they was just telling me that I'm a great kid, great athlete, and that they would love to have me on their team. But just the conversation that I had with them, it went very smooth. I felt like I bonded with the coaches a lot. And I like it around. There's not too much going on. They're just all about ball, and the coaching staff change that they had, I feel like that was a great move.
Trayvon,
well, we appreciate you joining us. Congratulations, champ. Best of luck in the NFL draft. We look forward to having you back on once you get picked. Take care of yourself. Take care of your family. Many blessings.
Yes, sir. I really do thank you all for having me once again.
Oh, you got to go to the Lions. Jalen, I love this. I love this young man. He's got to go to the Lions. We're going to see the Lions uniform next year.
I'm getting his jersey.
And we're going to see our audience right after this short break. Thank you so much, Mr. Walker.
Thank you.
Jalen Jacoby, big shout to Trayvon Walker. You can get the full unedited interview with Trayvon on our podcast. Jalen Rose, every day we recognize another day that Brittany Griner, WNBA superstar, is detained in Russia.
62 days, way too long. We here at Jalen and Jacoby just want to wish her a safe, speedy recovery home to the United States.
Jalen, game one between the Nets and Celtics did not disappoint.
Kyrie can continue to be dynamic, but the elephant in the room is you're not going to win many playoff games with Kevin Durant struggling the way he did in the first half. He did a terrific job of swarming him, making him play in the crowd, being physical with him. So that's the number one adjustment. Get KD on the move, side screens, down screens, get out in transition so he can move that wiry body around, get him a couple of shots and start feeling good about his game. But for the Celtics, keep doing what you're doing. I mean, Jason Tatum was passing early, started scoring during the game. Jaylen Brown was consistent. Al Horford's defense. Al Horford was doing way too many rebound the ball and go coast to coast. Where you at, Nets defense? I love Al Horford, but he's too old to be out there going coast to coast like 5 times. That just let me know that he was a little soft out there. And Jaylen Brown, his final layup, that was a little too easy. So if you're the Nets, you got to shore it up. But there's a lot of things happening. But the thing I'm looking for is KD gonna come back and be dominant.
Yep.
That's why I flipped my pick. I saw KD show up at the game, and I was like, you know, I can't with a straight face pick KD to lose in the first round. Because that's what would happen if they lost this series, especially without Robert Williams. So I'm anticipating the Nets should respond tonight.
The Celtics are without Robert Williams, and the Nets are without superstar Ben Simmons. Jalen Ben Simmons is practicing. He's playing 4-on-4. He's going through contact stuff. He's ruled out for game 2, but we could see him in this series. What sort of impact do you think he could potentially have down the road?
I think he can have a defensive impact, a playmaking impact. Somebody that's going to give them size up front and in the backcourt. But this is high pressure, high intensity. Every mistake is magnified. Every weakness is magnified, whether it's not shooting outside of the paint, whether it's not making free throws. And I don't know that if he plays, it's going to be the crunch time minutes, but it will be good to see him back out there on the floor.
We will be back tomorrow, ESPN2, 4 p.m. Enjoy the games tonight.